Doctors now join us. Dr. Rajesh Parekh, Director Medical Research of Jaslok Hospital. Dr. Jagdish Hiremath, Medical Director, A. Suhas Multi-Speciality Hospital. Dr. Rajesh Parekh, Director Medical Research and of Jaslok Hospital. Dr. Parekh, to you first. Politics aside, this is a breath of fresh air that we are speaking to doctors to know about the vaccine, whether or not it is safe, whether you all are welcoming this particular move. Shashi Tharoor just put out that tweet saying that Covaxin perhaps could be dangerous and the approval is premature. He has said that Covaxin has not yet had phase 3 clinical trials. I'm not asking you to get into the politics of this at all, but what is your first up reaction on the approval of Covishield and Covaxin?
Well, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for not getting me involved in the politics. Science and politics should indeed, by and large, be kept separate, except where they intersect in policy decisions. I am thrilled. I am thrilled that the vaccines are made available. I understand the concerns. Some of them are legitimate. But, as far as the Covishield vaccine is concerned, the data has been published in a peer-reviewed journal. It came in the Lancet just this past week. So the data is out there. As far as the Bharat Covaxin is concerned, phase 1, phase 2 studies have been done. It's, of course, understandable and a legitimate concern that we do not have the phase 3 data out in the public domain. That doesn't mean it's not there. Phase 3 trials have also started. And I think 2 expert committees have reviewed the data. And for better or worse, they deem it appropriate to release it under emergency authorization, emergency use authorization. So I am actually delighted that the vaccine is available. It's been long awaited. And I'm also thrilled because we must appreciate the phenomenal speed at which these vaccines have come out. This is a process which can take from 5 to 12 years. And it's been done in, about 10 months. So, of course, we have to be cautious, but we also have to be optimistic.
What about the transmission rate? Do you see that breaking anytime soon? Because a small point, none of the vaccines have proven to reduce this particular transmission as well. So while we think that they would decrease the transmission, this has never been directly proven.
I think that's an excellent question because there is a difference between efficacy and the transmission rate. They are to an extent connected because if the efficacy is good, if the vaccine works as we believe it would, then you reach a certain stage where, which is loosely called as herd immunity. It's actually a combination of the vaccine-induced immunity with the natural immunity that is developed over a period of time. And when that reaches a certain critical mass, which is postulated at about 70% or so, then the transmission gets stopped in its tracks because, it is not being transmitted that easily. It occurs, but it's not being transmitted that easily because an adequate number of people are immune to it already.
Stay on with us, Dr. Parekh. Dr. Jagdish Hiremath is also with us. Dr. Jagdish Hiremath, what do you have to tell the naysayers today of the vaccines?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
I'm saying, what do you have to say tell the naysayers? There are many, whether they are from politics or otherwise, there are many naysayers for the vaccine as well who think that it's rather very premature. The nod is coming too early. The phase 3 clinical data of Covaxin is opaque, not been released in public domain, and hence flagging off certain concerns. How would you allay these fears, and what do you have to tell them today?
See, I just have to say this, that people should rely on science. People should rely on experts. I'm not a politician, so I will not go into the politics of it.
Not even expecting you to. Yes.
Yeah. The subject expert committee is filled with people who are subject experts. They have gone through this in a very, very proper scrutinizing manner. And then they have decided that it is deemed fit to give Covaxin the approval as an emergency basis on clinical trial basis. It's not a complete, although in the case of Covishield we have a emergency use approval. In the case of Covaxin, it is still considered as an extension of clinical trial. I am pretty sure that even the phase 3 trials would have gone through very well. I've gone through the numbers. They have done more than 20,000 in phase 3. More than 20,000 people have gotten into this phase 3 trial, and the subject expert committee would have got all these results. Then they would have given the approval. So for us to cast aspersions on it is wrong. I would suggest people to listen to the experts and just go ahead with the vaccination program.
You know,
Vaccination has come so fast. There are multiple reasons for it. Molecular biology today is very, very progressed. Not like what it was, say, 25 years ago. If the vaccines have come in the last 10 months, there is a reason for it. There is a body of work, there is enough knowledge available with the scientists to come with faster vaccination programs. So that is the reason why we have the vaccines which have come so fast. It's not because somebody has fast track. Yes, fast tracking has been used to some extent, but not everything has been bypassed. It is not about cutting corners to such a stage that everything will go away. The main crux of the matter is vaccine is here and it has been found to be efficacious, having enough immunogenic potential. We should simply go for it. That's all I can say about
we should
this.
simply go for it, is what Dr. Jagdish says. Dr. Parekh, are you in agreement with that? We should all simply go for it. See, because I'm just going to simplify here. Every common man today has only one question. Should I take the vaccine? Should I not take the vaccine?
You said the vaccine. There are
many
going to be plenty of
vaccines,
vaccine
yes.
now, so whether
For
it's a
now,
very simple
as
answer
Indians,
to-
we have two options: Covishield and Covaxin. Although it is for emergency use approval going forward for the common man as well.
Exactly. So first, let's begin with a very simple clarification. Two vaccines have been approved, as you've pointed out, for emergency use, and the third one, the Cadila vaccine, has been approved to enter into phase 3. So at this point in time, there's a choice between two vaccines. The primary question is, should I be vaccinated or not? And undoubtedly, the answer is an unequivocal yes. People should take the vaccine. The next question is, which of these two? Well, people should make an informed decision. Data on one is in the public realm. It has been peer-reviewed and published in journals. Data on the second has been submitted to an expert committee. It has not been published in journals. Data on the first is in a large number of participants. Data on the second is in a very limited number of participants, about 400 or so who have received the vaccine. So there are some limitations, undoubtedly, to the data that is submitted. But on the other hand, as has been pointed out, there is an expert committee which has scrutinized it. And mind you, the first task of that committee, and I would assume of the DCGI as well, is to weigh the risk-benefit. You're not going to have an absolutely perfect vaccine in such quick time. In fact, rarely do we get an absolutely perfect vaccine. But the question is it the correct time to approve this vaccine for emergency use after weighing the risks and benefits, not just of the vaccine, but also of the pandemic? And I think when that kind of a judicious decision is taken, obviously there's been a lot of application to the decision-making process.
All right. I request you both to stay on with us right there with your valuable inputs and scientific inputs while at it. Now, even before the immunization drive could kickstart, politics has erupted over the vaccine. Yesterday, former UP Chief Minister and Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav declared that he is not going to be taking the vaccine shot as he does not believe in a vaccine being brought by the BJP government. Listen.
देखिए मैं तो नहीं लगवाऊंगा अभी वैक्सीन मैंने अपनी बात कह दी और वो भी बीजेपी लगाएगी उसका भरोसा करूंगा मैं अरे जाओ भाई अरे अपनी सरकार आएगी सबको फ्री वैक्सीन लगेगी हम बीजेपी का वैक्सीन नहीं लगवा सकते
Two vaccines against coronavirus have been approved for India. The Drug Controller General of India today granted emergency use authorization for Serum Institute of India Covishield and Bharat Biotech's Covaxin against COVID-19. Both vaccines are going to be administered in 2 doses each. The Covishield vaccine, developed by the University of Oxford and pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca, is being produced in the country by the Serum Institute. Bharat Biotech has developed Covaxin, India's first indigenous vaccine against COVID-19. The DCGI's approval came after a subject expert committee of Central Drug Standard Control Organization recommended these 2 vaccines for emergency use in India. Prime Minister Modi has welcomed the DCGI decision and said that approval of 2 vaccines is a decisive turning point to strengthen the spirited fight. Serum Institute of India CEO Adar Poonawalla also shared his joy on Twitter over Covishield getting emergency approval. He said the vaccine is ready to roll out in the coming weeks. India is all set for a mega vaccine rollout with dry runs being held in all the states and union territories across India.
Phase 2 clinical trials were conducted in approximately 800 subjects, and results have demonstrated that the vaccine is safe and provides a robust immune response. The phase 3 efficacy trial was initiated in India in 25,800 volunteers, and till date, approximately 22,500 participants have been vaccinated across the country, and the vaccine has been found to be safe as per the data available till date. The subject expert committee has reviewed the data on safety and immunogenicity of the vaccine and recommended for grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situation in public interest as an abundant precaution in clinical trial mode. After detailed deliberations, subject expert committee has recommended for the grant of permission for restricted use in emergency situation subject to certain regulatory conditions. The clinical trial ongoing within the country by the firm will continue.
I think this is great news, and this is really a big step as far as our effort towards controlling the pandemic is concerned. This is a great step because we are now not dependent on any other country, but our own vaccines will be available for our own population, and we will be able to vaccinate a large number of people quickly and as early as possible. If we look at the early days of the pandemic, we had to rely on a lot of things like PPEs and masks from outside. Now we may be in a position to really not depend on anyone else. So it's a great moment for India, a matter of pride, and I think a great step in controlling and getting over the pandemic.
It is indeed a momentous occasion for India. I think maybe the regulators have access to some data that we have not seen, of course, and that's the basis they've made this decision. My concern is that when we're conducting such a massive public health intervention, we need to get the public's buy-in. And for that, we need to be transparent both in the data and in how the decision was made. That, I feel, has not happened. When we look at the US, we've seen how they've been transparent on the data. They've been transparent on the decision-making to give authorization to the vaccines. If India had done that as well, I think we would have an easier time getting the public's buy-in.
I think at this point in time, you must understand that the world over, the regulatory approval has been accorded, in a very abbreviated way. And so India is not an exception to this. And I think, the naysayers need to understand the meaning of emergency use authorization, which first focuses on safety and the immunogenic response that the vaccine actually displays. So I think both these have been met. Now, in terms of efficacy, really what we are talking about is really, what we really need to really focus on is the durability of response. So whilst efficacy is being touted as 70% or 90%, it's really about the reinfection of people who have been vaccinated, and that takes time. But I think that data will be gathered by both companies.
Some political reactions coming in. Listen in.
दिल्ली सरकार की ओर से तैयारियां चल रही हैं इसका जो प्रोटोकॉल रहेगा, सबसे पहले जो हेल्थ केयर वर्कर्स हैं वो नंबर 1 पर होगा, देन फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स हैं, उसके बाद जो 50 साल से ऊपर के लोग हैं उनका किया जाएगा। अभी फर्स्ट फेज के अंदर जो सबसे पहले जिसकी तैयारी की गई है, फर्स्ट फेज के अंदर हेल्थ वर्कर्स एंड फ्रंटलाइन वर्कर्स को लगाएंगे।
India is one of the first country where it is going to have already it has gone for dry run, and now over 3 crore Indian population will be getting the first dose of coronavirus, and according to Health Ministry. So this is a very welcome step.
Well, this is a huge relief to the whole country, and a very good New Year gift. And we hope that now people will not have to lose their lives because this vaccine will at least be able to save them. And I hope that it will be available timely, and the government seems to have made elaborate arrangements for ensuring that human lives are not lost.
Dr. Jagdish Hiremath, one final word before we let you go. As far as these vaccines are concerned, there are lots of opinions coming in, but the only opinion perhaps that one needs to look into is a doctor's opinion or opinions of the people from the scientific field, people who are working literally on the vaccines as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not simple that somebody has come out with a vaccine and brought it out in the open just like that. There has been a process which has been followed. There is a body of work which is present in front of us before a new vaccine is being created. There is advances which has happened in the last 15-20 years in molecular genetics, which has helped us create better and safer vaccines, which are more efficacious, which are more immunogenic, and yet safer. So considering all these things, we should go for vaccination. Also with the Bharat Biotech vaccine, the Covaxin, it's a complete virion vaccine. There is a reason why the subject expert committee has gone ahead and given the approval for this. With the looming threat of the Britain strain of virus, new mutant virus, which has come, it is understood that a complete virion vaccine has more chances of being more efficacious, more immunogenic against this kind of strains. So probably that could have been an additional factor which has gone in favor of Covaxin for them to go ahead with the approval. All said and done, my simple suggestion is go ahead with the vaccination.
So your simple suggestion right there is go ahead with the vaccination. Dr. Jagdish Hiremath and Dr. Rajesh Parekh, I thank you very much for joining us in the broadcast, taking the time off your busy schedules and joining us to guide our viewers as well with